You should talk about your motivations. That was a top comment I had on the last video, and I honestly think that it's a really good topic to talk about here because it's been something I've been thinking about a lot recently, especially in the gym. I used to think that motivation was something that people just had. Like, if you really wanted to do something badly enough, you could just feel motivated and actually go after it. But I'm now starting to realize that that's not the case. Motivation comes and goes, and it isn't something that you can consistently rely on. On top of that, if it's the only thing that you rely on, then what are you going to do when it doesn't show up? When I first started going back to the gym in April, I was extremely motivated. I had all these ideas in my head of what I wanted to look like, and I was really excited to see it through and start working towards my goal. And it was pretty easy for a while. I'd wake up, I'd go to the gym, I'd eat more, gain weight, get compliments, and I'd feel pretty good about myself. But eventually, friction started to slowly seep in. The original motivation was lost, and I started skipping days and finding excuses. But that's when I realized that I couldn't just keep waiting until I felt like going. Some days I was going to be off and not want to go, but I had to remind myself that a bad workout will always beat a skipped one. Even if I was tired, even if I was busy, even if I wanted to just stay home, I would keep trying to find a way to get to the gym. And I feel like these are the most important days to show up for yourself. Because if I only ever went to the gym when I felt motivated to go, then I probably wouldn't be going at all. For a while there, I actually tried replacing motivation with other people, and this wasn't an intentional decision, but going to the gym with friends has always been fun, and it does make it a lot easier to show up. I feel like if I have someone going with me or someone to show up for, it's a lot easier for me. But spoiler alert, I eventually realized that I can't depend on people either. People have their own lives, people have their own schedules, work, school, everything, and they get busy. Plans change. Sometimes they just don't feel like going. Sometimes they cancel. And I think that's when it really clicked for me. The only constant I have in my life is myself. I don't mean that in like a fucking doomer way either. Like, I love having people around me, but at the end of the day, nobody else can make me do something. Nobody else is going to live my life for me. Nothing changes if nothing changes. You are the only person that can do it. You are the only person at the end of the day, this guy's on fire, that can put in the work. And if I want something, I have to be the one to go after it. And I think that's where discipline comes in because discipline is basically doing what you said you were going to do, even if you don't really feel like doing it. On the other end of all this, though, there are times where you're going to be motivated. And there's a quote from Naval. He says something like, inspiration is perishable, so act on it immediately. I think that we could also apply that in a motivational concept, right? Like if you have the motivation to do something in the moment, do it. The motivation is going to fade. It's perishable. Act on it immediately. However, I'm going to explain this in a more creative standpoint, right? So sometimes you'll get these random ideas, right? And you know that you have a feeling that you really want to do something, you really want to act on this idea. Like, let's just say, like a YouTube idea, you have this video that you want to work on. And in the moment, you're like, oh, like, I'll do it later. I could make this happen. But you keep putting it off, right? And then the feeling of motivation, the feeling of inspiration just slowly starts to disappear. So when you feel that little spark, this is your sign just to fucking go all in on that shit. You know what I'm saying? You just have to start it. You don't have to finish it. You don't have to be fucking perfect. You don't have to have everything figured out. Just take the first step and actually start. But the question is, what happens after the initial inspiration and motivation disappears? Because it eventually will. And you won't always be as excited or feel as motivated or driven to accomplish your goals, right? And I think that's where persistence matters more than motivation. There's another quote that I really like, and it goes, I will persist until I succeed. I think Alex Hermosi may have said that. I'm not too sure actually. But, anyways, I think that's the mindset that you need once the excitement wears off. You don't have to feel motivated every single day to keep showing up for your goals. You just have to keep showing up. Some days you're going to absolutely crush it, and some days you're going to absolutely just like shit the bed and barely do the bare minimum. But doing something is still better than doing nothing, like I said earlier. Because if you keep waiting until you feel motivated again, you might just be waiting forever. The example that I chose to use for this was the gym, but I think that this honestly applies in way more aspects of life than just the gym, right? You got school, you got your job, you got a project you've been constantly putting off, creating content, learning something new, whatever you're trying to build. You're not always going to feel like doing it, and that's okay. I don't think that the goal is trying to become someone who's always motivated all the time. I actually think that that's really unrealistic. I think that the goal is trying to become someone who keeps moving even when they aren't motivated. because motivation is temporary and you owe it to yourself to be there when motivation isn't. I honestly think that this is something I'm going to have to remind myself with a lot when filming for this channel because there are going to be days where I don't feel like recording, days where I don't feel like editing, days where I just have absolutely no idea what I want to talk about. And that's fine. I don't want this to be something that only exists when I'm motivated. I want to actually build something, and building takes time. So I guess that's the real lesson to take from all this, right? Don't wait for motivation to come back. Just keep building. This video actually went kind of longer than I expected it to be. I got really into that, I'm not gonna lie. Kind of excited for the future of this channel, to be honest. Let me just say one thing right now. I recorded an hour of Minecraft gameplay, the very first time that I started playing, and these are the clips that you see in the background. So for the next few videos, this is what you're going to see. But I plan on upping the production. Right now, these quality of the content of the videos don't really look the best, but I plan on fixing my recording settings and downloading some shaders to help with all that. But yeah, again, if you made it this far, I very much do appreciate it. And remember that the top comment decides the next video. So with all that being said, man, take it easy.